when we but when we get called, when the officers get called or they get called, that they are um, rerouting them to the locations that other municipalities respond to. It's a jurisdictional issue, and really, essentially, it causes um, delays in those responses from the 911 calls that they do get. And we had said that this is going to be for the next 30 days. We're going to be looking into bringing in our own system, our own E911 system with the call center, specifically and uniquely to City of South Fulton, the technical boundaries of the City of South Fulton. So that we can, one is have responses with speed and accuracy and reducing these response times. And two is that ensuring that our officers are on the scene and that every house, every inch of City of South Fulton is covered when we do get that call. And so this has actually been a topic of discussion before. And so I'm going to get all the information, receiving information from the data that was presented beforehand. And it was the IT and the costs associated with it. And I think that it should have been invested in, because I don't think we would be here. I think we would have had a plan of action on road construction, on bringing it in, because the infrastructure is a key portion of it. And it did, to me personally, it didn't matter what the cost is, because the cost of safety, should be our number one goal that we should be advocating for, because I don't think that anybody wants to do anything, go anywhere, build anything, invest in anything if they don't feel safe in the environment that they're coming into. And so it's a little bit of a common sense approach. And so we're going to double down on it in 30 days. As a matter of fact, we have a tour tomorrow with the E911 Center of Fulton County. We got one scheduled each week. Tomorrow is going to be at 10 a.m. We got 2 more slots left. And but we won't have one every week. We'll have one during the day and then 2 after 5. So we want to be able to capture the folks who are working, and the folks who are working to get off before 5, and the people who are working and who get off after 5. And so we want to be able to incorporate all that, so everybody has the opportunity to go down and see for yourself. The tour takes about 20 to 30 minutes, and with an opportunity to get in and listen on some calls. And so this is what I just want to make sure that we all on the same page, and we all know what's going on, and we all have the same information with the same data, and then be able to go see it in real time. Because I think that once you get a feel and effect of it, that you will be able to better understand, have a better understanding, because you done heard it and saw it for yourself.
Yeah, that's what it was. They said they had never seen that many police on Old National.
Oh, right. What are we talking about?
They told me I had to get up there immediately.
Miss McKee?
I know I hadn't got no call.
Miss McKee? Miss McKee? Miss McKee?
I'll go, Miss McKee. Okay. Oh,
Miss McKee?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'll put you on mute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I wasn't saying anything. I will actually drop my phone.
Oh, okay.
Did you want me to say something?
Well, you just said something. You just said that they have never seen that many police officers on Old National.
Oh, no, it was a funeral. It was a police officer's funeral today. And they was doing an escort down all the way down Old National. And I was getting calls because people was calling saying, what's wrong? What's going on? And what's the matter? We see police motorcycles, we see cars, everything. And I didn't think it, so I went up there on Old National. And I was like, "Oh, it's the police officer's funeral today."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the only thing. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay, I'm gonna put you back on mute.
Okay.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and so so like I said, so anybody want to sign up and go in here and be able to hear, um, and then take a tour, and then understanding that we do have a situation, and so I think there was a call this other day, and somebody in their neighborhood they have an activity going on where it's a in a darker area, it's not a well lit area, and in the morning they have find all kind of things that going on, and it's like they call the police and then there's no response, or they call 911 or the non-emergency number and there's no response. And you know, I don't think that that's adequate, because if you call a non-emergency number, it could be a community call. Well, we don't know if that non-emergency turns into an emergency, but if there's no check, if there's no ride by, if there's no anything, then that people feel like that's the area that they can just go to and that nobody watching, nobody cares. But that's not true. It's just that there's nobody responding to the call. So do you anyone on here have anything that they want to add to that, as what do they feel? How do you feel like the response times? How do you feel safe? How you feeling secure in your communities? And do you have any um reference or any story that you have about the E911 call center and response times to the police and what has occurred or has not occurred?
Okay, I guess I have to jump in there, Councilman Corey.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, well, I went through the Fulton County University Academy, and we did visit the 911 center. Also, when we were doing our chaplaincy training, we went and sat with the 911 center for some hours and days. They are actually overworked, and I don't think they have enough people. And then you have to have the people trained also. So I'm not sure whether we have um, some new trainees down there or what, but I do have gotten a couple complaints about people calling 911 and they route them to Clayton County first, back to Fulton, and then to South Fulton. So that's 3 times, 1, 2, 3. So it does take time because life or death, 2 minutes really counts. And but I do know that they are revamping the 911 center. However, it's going to take a lot of work. And I know everyone wants us to have our own 911 center. It costs a lot of money, and we're not ready for that, I don't think, right now. So that's my input there.
Right. This is what we're doing is right. We're getting all the information and gathering to see what will be see. My deal is, because people, we talk about money, we talk about that, right? There's nobody who's giving me a definitive price or definitive amount on what it will be. Is it $100 million? Is it $30 million? Is it $20 million? Whatever. But this is an effort to get the actual cost on what it would actually cost to bring in, to one, establish it, bring it and put the infrastructure in, and then two is to maintain it throughout the years that we would need to have it, understanding what the technological integration and upgrade to it, and our call center as personnel, how many personnel we would need, how many of their staffing would needs would be met. So to put an actual cost on it, I want an actual cost. Is it $50 million or is it $100 million? And whatever that cost is to get it up and running and going, then we know that that's what we have a goal to put up there and a capital improvement that we can put. We know it's not going to happen next year in the next 2 years, but what we do know is we have a plan of action in place to roll things in and to put money towards it so that we can invest into it. So uh, that's, because at the rate that we're spending right now, um, if there's $5 million a year, that means we spent $25 million already. So if the cost is $30 million and there was no plan to roll it in from the get-go, well, then we're still behind the eight ball. But however, we will now have a plan in place because we have an actual number on what it would cost. And that's what I am attempting here is let's do the actual cost and put it instead of saying the cost is too much. Because what is too much? Because too much, we're spending $2 million on a roof that was done already on the change order over for a roof. So is that too much? So I want an actual cost and I don't want to guesstimate and then, and we have, no idea on what it is. But if we keep saying it's too high, it's too high. But then we look at the cost of what we spend it on and we be like, why are we spending money on that? To me, this is more important than anything because this is a direct correlation to the safety that our constituents feel. Because if they call the police and that they don't come in response time, and then something traumatic happens, and like Ms. McKee said earlier, minutes count, seconds count, and that to me is more important than anything right now because it's still going on, and the county said that they was going to fix it, and they have not. So that's where I'm coming from. Anybody else?
Yeah. Hey, Corey. This is Clyde Sampson. Can you hear me all right?
Mr. Sampson, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I have a question in regards to this call center. I've heard that there's some cities, mainly in the North Fulton County, that does have their own call centers. Do you know how much they spent on those and how much they're spending for maintaining those yearly?
Mr. Sampson, that's a good question because you're talking about Dunwoody. So Dunwoody put theirs on, and now Sandy Springs and Roswell jumped on Dunwoody's 911 system call.
That was Sandy Springs, Corey.
Sandy Springs.
Sandy Springs started, and then Dunwoody jumped in. Yes.
Okay, I get it. Thank you. See, 30 cc's of correction. Thank you, sir. Right. Sandy Springs built their own. Dunwoody jumped in, and am I correct on saying Roswell jumped in on it too?
I don't think Roswell did, but I think Milton and Johns Creek. It was some cities up north, but also those are technically they're private. It's a private company. It's called, I think it's IXP that actually is a third party. So it's not like they work for the city. They are 911 operators and all that kind of stuff. So
right. Okay. So a third party. So with Sandy Springs so help me if I'm correct. Sandy Springs went out and got a third party to build a 911 system specifically for the technical boundaries of Sandy Springs.
Yep. And then they brought to curtail the cost. They said, "Hey, Dunwoody, you want to jump in?" Yes, we do. In other surrounding cities, but like I said, I don't think Roswell ever jumped in because they've always had their own 911 center.
They always had their own. Okay, awesome, great. So there it is, and that's the third party that they have happen. Now, Mr. Farrell, do you happen to have what that cost them initially for them to start up that cost before other cities jumped in and said they would get on board?
I do not, because that was like 2006. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So I do that.
So let me ask you this though: the effectiveness of them being able to do that and the response times of what they experienced in Sandy Springs, was it worth the investment?
I mean, they still had their issues, but it was still not I think it was worth the investment. I mean, again, I don't recall when I worked there too many complaints of the 911 center, with respect to issues, because they did, they did their work. So.
Right. But Mr. Sampson, to let you know that we're getting that data too, sir, because I do want to know that information. So to answer your question, I do not have that information right now, but we do plan on getting that information so that we can have that actualization cost of where they had them initially for them to bring it on to start it up, and then the cost of when other cities jumped on board to receive those services as well to curtail that cost. Anybody else? Anybody else have any experience with this? I want to hear from y'all. I need to hear from y'all. Because I'm literally wanting the data, the real life data. And, you know, so nobody else has had any issues?
I'm just coming in. May I ask what the issues, what's the question?
We're talking about the E911 center from Fulton County, and this is in direct correlation to when you call the emergency number or non-emergency number, and for the city of South Fulton, and our response times are slow or have not been, adequate. And so we're saying going down to the root of the issue, because that you may call the police, they might arrive 30, 45 minutes later, but another jurisdiction may be there who got the call but can't do anything because it's a jurisdictional issue.
Oh, I asked him in there. I don't know nothing about that.
I've never used it. I had to use the 911 recently and lately, so I can't speak about that per se. But yeah, I know they do have different, as you mentioned, they do have different areas that show up, that delay the time. Like, this College Park might show up, but they say it's an East Point issue, or East Point might show up and say, well, no, it's a South Fulton issue. That takes time while they trying to figure out who's supposed to be responding to the call.
And I think, Corey, that's the biggest problem is when you call the 911 number, the operators are confused on who to route the call to.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really know. They don't know where to go. And then eventually you get frustrated. I mean, on Feldwood Road, I'd say about 2 years ago, a guy came across the road and smashed into the ditch across the street from me, got out and was brandishing a 9mm weapon on some lady. I called the 911 number. It took them at least 5 minutes to figure out who to route the call to. Nobody showed up. The fire department showed up and said there was nobody hurt, so they left. The tow truck showed up, picked the cars up because the guy had left, and then the police showed up. So it was like a complete waste of time. It seems like the fire department knew that there was an issue somehow, but the police department didn't respond.
And see, that's those type of incidences right there is what I'm speaking about and what literally we're discussing. And so because that's the problem. There was another issue that the fire department shows up and the police they're nowhere to be found after the fact. And it could be an actual police issue that need to be dealt with.
Well, to make it even worse, the car that slammed into the ditch had no plates on it. I guess the mother of the young lady's car, she showed up with no plates either. And when the police officer showed up, he did nothing. They just loaded the one car. They all got back in their non-plated car and left. So it was like the incident never happened. And then when you start making calls after that, there's no record of it, so they don't know. And frankly, I'm at the point where it's not really worth it to call 911 because it's too confusing for them. They really don't know what to do.
Well, I think one problem is that our zip code, the 30349, is so large until it gets everyone confused. Because are you talking about College Park? Are you talking about the edge of Fairburn? Are you talking about Clayton County? So I think those are some issues that we probably have to talk to the Postal Service about. Is it Riverdale? My address comes up Atlanta. Sometimes College Park. It's just that 30349 area code. So, Councilman, I don't know how we can talk to the post office, but probably our zip code need to be changed.
Well, Well, see, well, you know what? In actuality, that might be correct. That might be it, because we are a city who got, what is it, 5, 6 zip codes. But the thing about it is, I do not believe that they plan on putting a zip code here, because we're in the city of South Fulton, and because it is, I don't think that that's coming. Now we can go back and check, but the only zip code that we do have that's unique to this city of South Fulton is Red Oak, the Red Oak area right there. And so, and well, let me investigate that and see.
Okay.
Let me investigate before I even say anything. Let me investigate that so I can give the actual facts.
Okay, and see when the last time a survey was done in reference to a zip code for our area. And we've grown, so with more population, more houses and more people. So maybe we can talk to the postal service, the postmaster, and talk about that, Corey. And I'd appreciate that if you bring that report back to us.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Team me, we mark that down, and let's make sure to get that, and let's get those answers. But because before I even speak on that, then I want the actual data, and I want to hear from the subject matter expert.
Yes, I understand.
Yes, sir.
And
Go ahead,
Corey,
Mr. Earl.
yeah, I'm on. Okay, so if you go to the City of Sandy Springs website, their service is called Chatcom, which is basically because they're on the Chattahoochee River 911 authority. So it's a separate authority that was created in 2009. Actually, it was a joint effort by the cities of Sandy Springs and Johns Creek. It operated following the public-private model, with IXP Georgia LLC managing the day-to-day operations. So with that, it uses Smart 911, which I hope Fulton County is using Smart 911, which is supposed to allow these address issues to be almost non-existent, because it's supposed to be able to say, Smart 911 allows residents to enter information online that is delivered automatically to a 911 operator with a 911 call. With a 911 call that is placed, the same information is also accessible by emergency responders to help ensure that they're coming to your aid, and are better prepared to serve you. Then they use, voice over IP in 911. So there's, as I think the gentleman, stated last time on Monday, there's all the technologies there. During emergency service, the ability to dial 911 is vital. If you're using voice over IP protocol for the phone server, there are important information points that you need to know. So it talks about that. Community Connect, which is a ability to use addresses for recognition to provide details about the property. So that's what their system does. But these are the two main criteria that they're looking for in their service requirements. Is that the 911 center is required to answer 90% of the calls within 10 seconds and process 90% of the calls for dispatch within 60 seconds. I mean, that should be a standard. I hope Fulton County is close. I mean, I don't know what they're still.
Wait, and that's text me that screenshot of that right there, because I'm as you sending me this, I'm sending this into the data, our data center, so that who's collecting this stuff. Yeah, send me that if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And if anybody has any other information on factual based on this, on what we can do, because we just want all of the data. I want everything that we come with to be a data-driven report. I don't offer opinions, I just offer the facts. And so because and that could be, and I'm thinking in my mind that could be something with the zip code there. I think there might be something there with that. But we're gonna find out. And so anybody
Councilman,
else?
Ms. Collins put in the chat, the changing of the zip code arose early in the formation of the city. However, the answer to the question was that Congress will have to make the change to add a new zip code.
Right, and that's what I believe, that they said that Congress said that they was not going to do that. And so, but like I said, let's get that all information, and we will talk to that, because I think there might be something there, because I think we do need our own zip code. I think we do. And okay, but does anybody else have anything else? I mean, I want all the data that you have. Oh, we have 2 more slots for tomorrow. If y'all want to go, it's at 10 a.m. at the 911 center. Anybody else? I mean, I need to hear from y'all.
I have another meeting at 10, and I've already been through Fulton County Citizen Universal.
Right. Not you. I mean, I'm talking about anybody else. Like, you know, we know. I know y'all have been, and anybody who's been through that. I mean, it's fine if y'all didn't, but you know, spread the word if you know anybody who has not. And so we got 2 before 5 and 2 after 5. And so we want everybody to who have not been through the Fulton County University or not been through that or been trained on any of that. So to learn that, I thought we had we're working on the South Fulton University to go through this, but I do think that people still need to take the opportunity to go through the Fulton County University if they have not had that opportunity. Because they go through every department, they go through, and you have things that you can go see for yourself, and it's actually real, and going in real time and actually seeing the things that are happening. And we're doing that. We're going to expand upon that within Fulton County as well. I'm in the city of South Fulton as well, but please take the time to go and look. Has anybody else had any other experiences with 911 delays and the calls and the responses? And it could be from anything from illegal parking of trucks to flourishing a weapon to whatever it is that you had to call 911 for, whether it be the emergency number or the non-emergency number. Nothing? Nobody? Has anybody had a shooting in there? Somebody just shooting in the air, they call 911 and anybody responds?
Shootings happen so much. We just don't call anymore. Literally, I mean, it is what it is. It's what you expect when you live here. I mean, at first I was startled, but then after a while it was.
Well, it's any place you live. The police is, shootings is just shootings, and I don't call unless I feel a threat in the community. I live right off Old National, right here, Creole and Old National, and you hear shots all day long, all evening, all night long. So I don't bother police unless I actually can just detect that, hey, they really need to come. It's too many shots.
So then what y'all want to say, then we have just pretty much accepted, the firearm release, just so somebody can just let off in their backyard, just practicing target shooting. And are we
No,
saying
no, I haven't accepted. I'm just believing God that, he'll shield us from all of this. But the police cannot handle all this. It's too much. We would need quite a few police officers to answer all these calls.
Or we would need the technological upgrade too, so we can get the eye in the sky and check it out. But I got
you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'm just praying to God shield us.
Corey, are we putting in the shot seekers out in the sky? Like in Atlanta, Brookhaven, they have them. That's how they were finding. When people shoot gunfire. I know some jurisdictions like them, some don't. But I mean, I don't know how much they cost. But has the chief talked about putting those up? I mean,
see, I want to load all the ammunition of what it is that we need to do that, because I mean, I understand about the people shooting that folks shoot over here all the time, but we do get calls, and there are some people who live in fear of that. They literally have an absolute fear of that, and and just like Dan said, that folks just they're tired of calling the police, and it's not going to be a response. It's not going to be here. Nothing is going to happen. But I do not want us to get to a point where we just accept it and it says, "Oh, that's just the norm," and that's not the norm. But because I believe in gun ranges. Okay, I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm a Second Amendment constitutional regurgitator. Okay, but at the same time, we have a responsibility to understand what that means. And I want a gun range. There's many people who don't want a gun range, but I think that we have one over Merck Miles. You can go over there and shoot and skeet, and there's places that we can go to discharge your weapons lawfully over there, because you want to be able to be comfortable with the mechanism that you have to defend yourself. And so, but I don't think it's in your backyard, right? And so, I just don't want us to get comfortable in that atmosphere. But text that to me. What you said? You said shot seekers.
Yeah, I forgot. I'll send it to you, because Atlanta and some other jurisdictions are starting to use them, and they're almost looking like mini cell type mechanisms. They're on poles and stuff, and as soon as a gun, it can detect between what is a gunfire and what is not, like a backfire of a car. But it gives police officers an idea and a range of where, like, oh, it's coming from, the 500 block of Red Oak Road or something like that. You know what I'm saying? We heard gunfire.
Right. And really what that does is it takes away from the people who want to call and want to say anything, but good luck. I mean, they'll say, hey, I want to tell you that it could be this, but they don't want any retaliation. So they don't want to give their names or nothing of that nature. So I do understand it.
I'll give it to you, but I'm just looking at the Sandy Springs budget. So they actually transfer all their E911 funds over for the most part. From that's the the money from your your phone bill or whatever that you pay for E911, and they're averaging about $3 million a year. So since 2019, they send over to Chatcom, because it says, I'm looking right at it, total expenditures and transfer to Chatcom. They received 3.4 million in E911 revenue, and they transferred it over to them. So in theory, you're saying basically they're running their 911 center off about $3.5 million a year.
So check this out. So then check this out. If we're paying Fulton County $5 million a year, then that's a savings of $1.5 million a year, just assuming that we would get 3.5 of that revenue. And and Sandy Springs is about, what's their population?
It is 38 square miles, and it's about 104,000 people.
38 square miles, 104,000 people. We are 100 square miles and about 108,000 people. Yeah. So just say that savings over there, 1.5 a year.
But that amount might change, because if they're collecting the money off of the people who live in that zip code, then we would have more people in our zip code, wouldn't we?
Well, they're 38 square miles. We're 100 square miles. They have approximately 104 people. With the last census data, before the census data came up, we was at 100,000 people. So they actually have more people than us per, but they have more people per capita than we do. So I'm just saying that because we are land mass than, more so a people mass. And so, but just based on the people, but I think we're at 108,000, but we don't know what they are. But I think we're still, far as people.
It's probably close, if not, one of,
right.
Y'all probably neck and neck. But I would say, remember, this is a private, it's more of a authority, but it's in essence a private entity, I guess is the best way to describe it. So
right.
I mean, so it's not, so I mean, there will be some outlaying costs to me. I'm a public-private person, so people are like, why is he always talking about this? But that's what I am. So I've worked for private engineering companies. So
but that's what I'm saying. But
it saves money.
Right, exactly, and it saves money. And so just like this, if you're paying $5 million, there's $3.5 million, so that's $1.5 million. So just say the $1.5 million over the next 5 years, that's almost $7 million in savings. What can you do with an extra $7 million in savings over the next 5 years?
Yeah, you could find a builder. You could possibly build them a building, because that would probably be the biggest thing. Like you said, the infrastructure piece, the initial outlay of infrastructure, and that's what they would probably any you got to have a facility, regardless if it's in-house or if it's a private company. They got to have a building to house these folks. So and now if we're building the public safety complex, tie it in, of course, with that location. So,
Right.
but yeah. So yeah, I used to know some managers over there. I had to do some research. I hadn't talked to them in like 10 years, but I used to know the folks over there. I could call them and be like, "Hey, can I come over here and take a look?" You know, but yeah, it's a private. It's in an office building. You would never know it's a 911 center because it's very nondescript. But yeah, I mean that's the thought process. But I'll send you that information on the shot, whatever it is. I forgot what they call it, but
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. And so, and the other thing too is that leverage, because see, Fulton County owes us so much that it's just anyway. It's just it's not. I'm not even getting on that soapbox, but when it comes to this issue and people and us feeling safe, because we have so many complaints on our response times. We have so many complaints on what the police are or are not doing. There are so many, the coffee with a cop is, or they have the Santown, I think they had cookie with a cop, is that when they come, it's imperative that also too is to attend those, because see, all the information you can get there are there to explain um, in detail. They have a lot of them to come out. And I know that a lot of issues that people have, they get, directly answered, and they get, the answers that they need. I know the last one we did at Pleasant Word, the community of Red Oak Woods came out and, brought their community out, and they got a lot of things answered. And so it's also too, bringing, the people together where that, if they had issues, getting them on the line, that they have direct access to them. And now what that does is it builds, a relationship and, a rapport that now that they do call, they have, direct community involvement. So they can, get their answers, get things, um, get their answers, get their questions answered. And then they also too, have a relationship when they call it, and it's not just, you know, a problem every single time, but it's just that, just stay in touch and then staying engaged. And, building a rapport with the community policing is a long way to go. And, things can get done because when you have a relationship with one, you can call them and says, "Hey, listen, I got this problem. This car's been over here." And, and they'll drive by in like 5 minutes, you know what I mean? Or, you have direct access to that. So that's why these coffee with the cops and cookie with the cops are so really important, is because you now build a rapport and a relationship with the officers, particularly your assigned community officers themselves. So you wouldn't even have to call on a non-emergency number, non-emergency. You wouldn't have to call 911. You could call your community police officer, or you send them a text, and get some things done that way as well. And so, but that's why I encourage y'all to come if you can, if you're able to, and then if you have area where we can go to come to your community, we'll bring it straight to your community. And so I don't want to I want to eliminate all the barriers of excuses onto what is that we can do to come to you, because y'all are, to me, y'all the number one concern. Y'all safety is my number one concern. And so that's where we are coming from. And to be quite honest, like, I need to hear all feedback from everybody who has an issue, because when I go on next door, I mean, I go on next door now. I just don't respond to stuff. I just go see what's happening and pay attention. So I know that this is an issue, but but this is a platform where I want to hear directly from this, because this is where we data capture, and we are capturing all of the data from the people who have been affected by this, or have, seen things done, or seen things have been done. And so, I mean, but we're gonna keep
Let me
doing it.
ask you the question.
Go ahead.
If there was to be a shooting in your grocery store, does anybody know what they're supposed to do? So maybe there needs to be some kind of community training if a situation happens that in a public situation, what is it that we're supposed to do? They teach the kids what to do if it's a shooting at a school.
An active shooter deal.
You know, but I mean, it's happening all over the place now, and you never know if you're going to be in that situation. So, I mean, sometimes people think they're supposed to run, and maybe the thing is that they need to be taught to play dead. I don't know, but I'm just saying we need we are in a world where we just pass a law, people get to carry their gun without a license. So I'm just saying we always think we're not going to be the ones, but it happens.
You're right, and I believe in, you know, I mean, it's better to have something to defend yourself than something not. Because if you're in, if somebody's coming out there, somebody woke up with their mind, they want to cause harm. They go anywhere locally, your grocery store locally, to anywhere, and just start shooting. You know what I mean? That's a real scenario. I mean, it happens. Look what just happened in Buffalo, and we got to the root of that. So,
Good evening,
well,
Corey.
yes.
Congressman Reed, how you doing today?
Oh, best day of my life.
Good. Keith Durden, I'm just wondering if will you have a chance to respond to either my email or text soon?
Oh, no. Yeah, oh, yes, sir. Get this. As today, uh, yes, but that's I'll call you after this. Right as soon as we hang up right here at 7:31, I give you a buzz. In direct correlation and response to your email, another person's email, and your text message.
Okay, 'cause you know it's getting crunch time, right?
Oh, it's the last house on the block. Oh, and get this. Oh, we're about to involve everybody because this is the subject matter experts have not responded, and I tried to go by the protocol in which they set forth, but now that obviously has not worked. So, but I touch
Okay.
base with you after this call.
Oh, one other thing. Thank you for that. One other thing. Why does College Park, if they're part of Southwood, and why do they have their own elections?
No, College Park is College Park, the city of College Park.
So they're not part of Southwood?
They're part of the South Fulton region, but they're their own city.
Okay. So that $2.5 billion development, we won't get a chance to benefit from it?
Hold on, which $2.5 billion development? You mean the what they call 6 West, or what they call it now?
Yeah, I mean it's coming with the four hotels and on the old national corridor.
Oh, that's the city of South Fulton.
So that will be the city of South Fulton off of that corridor.
Yes, off of place here, the two right. Where they talk about the hotel, what they had the groundbreaking for about on Mother's Day weekend, that Friday before
Yeah,
Mother's Day weekend.
yeah,
Yeah, that's city of South Fulton.
Okay. Man, this thing is confusing.
Well, that's what we want. We gonna get to that, but that's not now. That's a whole nother. We'll get to that later. But it's but like I said, hey, will they come, or is people gonna feel safe? You put all the hotels in the world, but if we still got the numbers up that's escalating, are they gonna come? Are they gonna build it? So we need to have that. But this is number one to me. It's like, until people feel safe, ain't nothing happening.
I
Now that
understand.
is my opinion.
So in an active shooter situation, with the new laws that we can carry without a license. I mean, I have a license, but you can carry without a license. Do I have a right to strike that person down if someone becoming an active shooter?
Hey man, look here. All I'm saying is that if somebody's active shooter and they're trying to cause harm to any and everybody they see in front of them, and you have a way to defend yourself, your family, and others who are potentially harmed, and you have to do things that will prevent anybody else from getting hurt, I would say that you would be in the absolute right of doing that. and that and I want to ensure that there are laws in place that if you do, you won't be punished for that, because you prevented harm from coming to anybody else here in the
All
city
right.
or in that facility of somebody who's actively trying to do harm.
All right. So that's sad, man. Sad. Do you think any of this gunfire is coming from one of the movie development movies? Because I know in Stone Mountain they have an issue with the noise from movies being shot. And it sounds like gunfire in the neighborhood.
Well, when they have a permit, but if that is the case, I think that should be a notification. Hey, a movie gonna be shot. This act of gunfire gonna be, so people can be made aware. People can be made aware of that. But
Most of our
I don't believe it's
gunfire, though,
necessarily over
is
here, huh?
most of our gunfire is in the middle of the night. It's after
Right.
dark. So I don't think any
Yeah.
movie's shooting at 1, 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
Right.
unfortunately, that was the case in some areas. They were shooting a movie and gunfire that time of morning. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that would be a special notification, and if they had a permit, that would be listed in the permit on what if they were filming that. I believe that would be listed in the permit, because that, shootings at that time of the morning, that's not normal for movies and stuff to be doing that. And so I know that, I don't know, I'll ask that question, because that's to make sure that's the case, because I don't know at this stage, but I don't recall any movie being able to. But since you said that was the case out there in Stone Mountain, it could
I
happen. It's a possibility.
just don't want to leave no stones unturned. That's all.
Hey man, look here. I believe you. Take Pandora's box and go check every door.
Hey, Brother Reeves, I will say this, though. If you do decide to carry a firearm, you need to train. It's a lot of training facilities out here for just normal civilians to learn the proper use of those firearms, so you can be prepared and be somewhat engaged if that was to happen, if you're in a grocery store or wherever you be. But it's a lot of places out here that offers that kind of real world training.
Oh, absolutely. We're looking at having somebody come and do a gun safety awareness training here too during this 30 days. When I say that
So that'd be
it's a whole
nice.
gamut. When I say no safety, no accidents, as in we have the no safety, like I mean the entire gamut. That's like I'm not trying to, promote anything without proper training, because everything comes with training. And so matter of fact, I think we got some response back. I'll let you know, but and then we want to have one for our ladies. I know Miss Jordan, a friend of mine, that's what she does it for women, and but for the community, hey, look, anybody want to have it? Hey, I like I said, I believe in the Second Amendment, okay, but I also believe in training, okay, because you can't do anything unless you know how to first, right? So that's key fact. And thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Larry. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, anybody else? Because I think we got some good information. We're gonna be doing these twice a week for the next 30 days, because I said that this is the Monday call and then a Thursday call, because last week we was going over and they said it's not enough time. It's not enough time, but y'all know I respect everybody's time, and so I think you can get a lot in. And tell anybody else, and so people who know about this or want to know more about it, I want to hear from y'all. I want to know, what are y'all trying to do? What can be done? What y'all need me to do? And so, and we're gonna go and we're going in that direction. And so it's
I'd like
no
to make a
safety.
couple of announcements for you. First of all, let people that they don't have to live in District 5 to be on this call and get information. We encounter other people who they don't get when we hear they're like, well, we don't have people coming out to talk to us all the time, or like we do every week. or they don't know the things that we're passing on, the information to you. And I tell them they're more than welcome to attend the calls. So if you know someone else, you can always let them know to pass on the link that they can come on the call. The other thing is we have the E911 people coming on the call this coming Monday. And I need the person, one of the people who was involved in the neighborhood shooting that was talking to the captain to contact me, because I need to get some specific details that they're trying to research.
Well, I give you the number. You got to call them up. I don't see them on the call, so. But we'll get to it. Okay. Well, listen here. It's 7:25, and we'll just go ahead and end early tonight. And so, if there's no more questions or no more comments, but we'll see y'all again Monday. And hopefully everybody, this is gonna be a safe and productive weekend for everybody. But I want to thank you for taking out time to jump on tonight and for continuing the conversations. And remember, for the next 30 days, no safety, no accidents. And I'll tell y'all all and tell everybody else, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And with that, we're gonna bid y'all a good evening and be safe.
Good night.